All right. Welcome in. This is Toilets to Titles. This is episode number 138. Tonight, is this the third annual bathroom board? Yeah, it's the third. This is year 3.
Yeah, we've done it every year.
This is year 3 of Toilets to Titles. We're going into the third season, and this is the third annual bathroom board. That's pretty cool. I'm very excited. So, for those of you listening at home who aren't familiar with the bathroom board, well, let me introduce my man Justin, and I'll have him explain the bathroom board. It's my co-host, my main man, my guy, Justin Stevens at JustinFF_. Justin, why don't you explain the bathroom board, my man?
I tell you what, so the bathroom board kind of started just like any random series of bets starts, and it's I think in our case it was a little bit of Miles Sanders and David Montgomery back and forth, where one of us finally got pushed over the top in our conversation and said, you know what, we're going to bet on this.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, here we go. Now we have 2 episodes every year to talk about the bathroom board, one before and one after. And definitely one of the more laid back and fun episodes, the more enjoyable episodes. And the rest of the guys are missing out tonight, Coach, because this is always fun to talk. And I think it's because they're not confident in their bets.
Right.
They don't come on and embarrass themselves. So.
Right. Yep. And I won the battle when it came to David Montgomery versus Miles Sanders. But ultimately though, you won the war because you were crowned year 1 bathroom board champ. There really wasn't much besides bragging rights that you got. But I don't know if you did it by having the most bets, because that we don't really factor. Matt, it's at FF_doormat, our guy from Down Under Dynasty. He tried to be practical. When he joined Toilets to Titles, he was like, hey, why don't we do like a win percentage thing? And I said, no, absolutely not. We don't talk about win percentage. It's about getting your name on the board as much as possible. And all we care about is wins on the bathroom board. We don't care about win percentage.
If you only place 3 bets and you win them all, you shouldn't win the bathroom board bet. So
speaking of 3 bets, we're going to get to some guys. We have a few guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 guys over 10 bets. 1 guy with a 9th. That's 6. We have like 16 guys on the roster. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys with 3 or less bets. So they don't talk with their chest enough. You guys, next offseason, when we're getting ready for the 4th one, you need to start talking with your chest. Right, Justin?
Yep, absolutely. So that first year that I won, we both kind of got bragging rights, like you said. You won the first official bet, and then I won the whole season. And then last season, you actually came back and won the second season of the bathroom board bets. So we have our 2 champions right here. And again, I think that's why they just don't want to show up.
To be fair, I don't think I won the second year. I think Matt did.
Really? Did Matt have that?
Yeah, I think he did. Maybe his name's just on my mind, but we got to go back. And this just goes to show you how much we actually care. When it's over, we're already moved on to the next season. So it is a big. It's fun. It's more so fun.
If Matt is watching, he will tell us.
Yeah, he'll for sure. George is in here. He says he pisses confidence and he poops excellence. That's true. George, let's see if you can back that up. George, yes, he has the 4th most bathroom board bets. So he's talked with his chest enough, man. And there was enough Dolphins chatter. I think George talking about the Dolphins probably set up enough bathroom board bets, and Mac Jones. His hate for Mac Jones and his love for the Dolphins were probably 2 huge talking points, I'd say, for the greater part of the summer in the Toilets to Titles chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I want to let everybody know, however you're watching or listening, if you have Apple Podcasts, it would be greatly appreciated. Throw us a 5-star review. Throw us something funny in the comments or whatever with your review, and we will take note of that. Screen cap it if you have your phone. Take a picture of it. DM it to us at Toilets to Titles. Next year, we're expanding our Frankenstank Listener League. We're adding 36 more teams. If you want a way to get in, historically speaking, I think everybody who's ever left us a 5-star review, we say we'll choose the best ones, but ultimately, the league's been getting so big that every time someone sent us one, they've gotten in. So if you want to for sure get in, and there's a good chance you might get in for free, because every year we give away 2 free entries per division, and usually one of them goes to a Patreon member. Like if you're the certain tier, you get in for free, and then about half of them go to people that do something to gain our attention or to win one of those. So 5-star review, Apple Podcast. Also, if you want to support the show, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/toilets which is, it's growing now. There's a Patreon app. Every month we kind of send out a State of the Union in season now. If you are tier 2 or above, which is tier 2 is $5. So that's like 2 cups of coffee a month at a Stewart's. If you're from New York, you know what a Stewart's is. It's like a Wawa or something else in Pennsylvania. I don't know what there is down in Indianapolis, but
Starbucks?
The waiver wire. No, Starbucks is a lot more expensive than Stewart's. Stewart's is like, local shop. All right. So $5 gets you early access to the waiver wire episodes in season, leading up to Monday Night Football. Everyone at Toilets and Titles, we have a doc. We throw guys on the list that we believe should be picked up. We kind of have like it has to be a certain amount of percentage owned for the player so that it's likely that person will be available in your league. And on Monday night, right after Monday Night Football, Joe at JoJ_Clark. I think week 1, he's going to be accompanied by Justin, who did this last week. And then after that, he's going to be accompanied by certain members from Toilets and Titles. And they'll do like a 20 to 30 minute episode, just breaking down all the waiver claims. It'll be on the Patreon app first thing Tuesday morning, like probably like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So you are ready to make those waiver wire claims before everybody else. Because if that's a criteria, sometimes it comes down to whoever makes the claim first. We're going to get you ready. Also, tier 2 gets you guaranteed entry into Frankenstank. And then we got other tiers, tiers that include one-on-one draft advice, tiers that include, we'll break down your league. We'll do a live episode, which Justin Toe, he signed up for that tier, and we're waiting for him to tell us. We're looking forward to that. So thank you, Justin. I appreciate you. So patreon.com/Toilets and Titles. And finally, YouTube. We're trying to get to 700 subscribers by the time the season starts. And right now we're at like 668, which we've gotten a pretty steady bump over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And a lot of that has to do with George Reed, who's in here, the mock draft lavatory. That's been a lot of fun. Every Monday night, if you want to get in that, reach out to us or reach out to George Reed on the Twitter or at JustinFF_. We'll make sure that we get your information to George. George sets that up. And every Monday night, it's 3 mock drafts. And then the guys are live on air breaking down the different mock drafts, like while you're drafting. That's pretty cool. So that's seen us get a little bit of a bump. So Justin, before we move on to the back of the mock draft, is there anything else you'd like to discuss, my friend?
Nope, not right off the top of my head, but I do have to scoot out just for a quick second. My dog really needs to go out.
Yeah, you got it right. And I think I said mock draft. It was a Freudian slip because George said mock draft season right here. And I meant to say before we move on to the bathroom board. And if that's what I did say, I apologize. All right. My head's spinning. All right. It's Tuesday night. And I want to let everybody know we're going to be pretty busy over the next few weeks. Saturday night, we have, over the next week, Saturday night, we got Bob Harris coming on. 8 p.m. We're going to be doing a mock draft. We're going to have Shane Hallam, and he's going to be with us as well Saturday night. So Bob Harris from SiriusXM, Shane Hallam from Draft Countdown, all the guys from Toilets to Titles. We're going to be on there Saturday night. And then Tuesday, we're going to have Dane Brugler from The Athletic. And right now, I'm also, in emails, setting something up with Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl. We're trying to get him on the show, and I think hopefully it's going to happen. I sent him our schedule. I sent him some talking points, and he's going to let me know when he's available. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff. And then 2 weeks from now, it's real football. We got football coming right down the pipe, and there is nothing better than that. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we have P2P from the pots to the playoffs with Boomer and DDP. That's on Friday nights. College football season, I think, is a week away. So, it's great. And also on the website, toiletstotitles.com, if you check it out, we got tabs at the top, all right? And we are going to add an NFL draft tab. Thanks to Shane Hallam at draftcountdown.com. We took his top 150. Me, Joe Clark, and Nino's going to help us out as well. We're taking that top 150. We're splitting them up. We're writing reports. We're watching film. We're writing reports on each player. So you're going to be able to go to the site, check Shane's top 150. Then you're going to be able to click the hyperlink. That's the player's name. You're going to see a report that I wrote or Joe wrote. And I've already done about 10, and we just started, man. And then that's also going to lead into our next step. Our next step, probably October, November, we're going to start doing our own big board. And then after that, we're going to start doing mock drafts. So we're talking about college football. We're talking about the NFL, but I'm also talking about the 2023 NFL draft. It's all encompassing. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We got to tone it down. We got to dial it back. But I want you to know Make sure you're subscribed because we have you covered. We are never not excited about football. Right? This is our thing. We're doing this year round. So if you're a redraft person and you just joined us, like you just subscribed to the channel, you just came back, your home league's picking up, we're here year round for you, baby. All right, we're ready for you. Justin, go ahead.
And Shane's top 150, guys. For those of you that don't know Shane Hallam, it's Shane P. Hallam. Go check him out, dude. He is legit. Like, this guy gets accolades every season for his rankings because he's consistently one of the top rankers in fantasy football and college football. Like seriously, like this is a big deal for us. This is great for the website. It's going to be really good for our viewers. So check out that website. Check out all of those college players. If you're an IDP, it's going to be really helpful. If you just love draft season, actual NFL draft season, it's going to be huge for you.
Yeah, Shane is legit because I believe he'll correct me Saturday night, but 3 or 4 years ago, out of all like the big names in the industry, like he submitted his mock drafts with all the big names in the industry. He submitted his top 100 and he had the most accurate top 100 out of like everybody, like not me, like not me,
Right.
not just out of all the guys from Toilets to Titles or all the guys with 2,000 followers or less on Twitter. No, like legitimate NFL.com, CBS.com, ESPN.com, like legitimate people. His top 100 was the most successful. Not for nothing. I can't believe that guy. Like he's got his own site. More power to him. But I can't believe someone like NFL.com or with the work that dude puts in. Like, what are you doing? You're sleeping on this guy, man. He's just putting in work year after year. And somebody needs to scoop that man up. All right, bathroom board, Justin. Let's go. All right, it's showtime.
This has got to be Steve right here.
Yeah. What's his team? So if you're listening at home, we have a comment. So Justin just drafted his home league Sunday night, or this weekend rather, from the 12 spot. We had him prepared all off season. When we did our mocks, we threw him in there. So Justin, give us a little background on this home league before we get into the bathroom board. Tell us about these teams.
Yeah, so my home league has been around, I think it's like, I don't know, 17, 18 years now. So Steve won the inaugural season, and he has not won since. So he's talking a big game right now, saying he's got the best team. But to be fair, I did actually give him the champion sticker because I actually did think he had the best draft. So I will be fair. He very running back heavy league because we only have 0.25 PPR. And you can start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. He went Najee Harris and James Conner, but then he picked it up with T. Higgins and Michael Pittman there, Lamar Jackson as his one quarterback. So yeah, not a bad little start.
And he had to do something special, didn't he? Didn't he have to do something special?
Yeah, last place in the league from the previous year, has to wear a dress to the draft. Oh, speaking of fat heads, I got a fellow fat head on the show now. So, George,
I snuck in the back door. You guys left it cracked, and I just
the lab coat. Right, did you hang your lab coat up, or you still got it on?
Oh, that thing never leaves the lavatory. It's got to stay there.
It does. But before I introduce George, I do want to say, Uncle Steve is lucky it's your fat head that's blocking that draft because it could be the picture of him in his punishment.
Yeah. So. I guess you just kind of dropped it there that I did send that picture, Steve, to the guys and on the team because they know you. So it was only fun to share it. So,
and to be fair, I was originally told that Steve's punishment was getting pants that in Canton, but I guess that was a fib.
In front of hundreds of people,
hundreds and hundreds.
Uncle Steve is about to give us a 1-star review.
Our subscriber count just went down by 1. Yeah. I wonder who that was.
Yeah. 1-star view. George, we're doing a little bit of talking about the bathroom board. We talked about some other stuff. I know you've been watching. So this is your first year with Toilets to Titles. Yep. So what is your opinions, if you have any, on how the bathroom board's developed or what it's kind of added to the camaraderie we have, behind the scenes?
So I love the idea of the bathroom board. I love that we actually track these bets throughout the year. But I mean, come on, guys, we need to take it up a notch. Like, I think whoever has the most losses on the bathroom board bet needs to have some kind of a punishment.
Instead of rewarding the winner, we punish the losers so that they don't just randomly spout out a bunch of random bets just to win like I did the first year?
I mean,
I
you
could see
can
that.
still reward the winner, but like we should punish the loser, right?
There should also be a minimum. We should punish people who don't get their name up on the board enough.
If you have
Like-
no conviction
Yeah.
in what you're saying, like, I mean, you're in the wrong business. Say it with
Listen.
your chest out.
Matt's got 3. Nate's got 3. Jason's got 3. Chuck, who's fairly new, has got 3. Joe's got 2. That dude, he had a time period where he was on the screen more than anybody. Mike's got 2 and Ben's got 1. Like, you guys, if we're gonna do something to the loser, we got to have a minimum after this season. Like, you got to be on the board no less than 10 times.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need. So I mean, it's our show, so we can definitely make something happen, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
By the way, I was told there's no math involved, but I do know that if you do 10 times 18, that's 180 board bets, which makes a really long show at the end of the year.
That's right. Or some of these bets, man, multiple people got on them.
Yep.
So I feel like it would probably end up being about 100.
It would only be 90 bets to make 180 people on the bets. Again, I know it's math, but
listen. I started beforehand. I prefaced it with there was no math involved.
Right. Also, George has been working in the heat, so his brain might be. This is the guy we have running the laboratory. That's why it's the lavatory and not the laboratory, because there needs to be math in a laboratory, and there doesn't need to be any math in the laboratory. There's only two. There's only 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2 in the laboratory.
I will say today at work was a lot better than yesterday. I got to drive around in the car, do all the behind the scenes work. There was no 116-degree house working in for 7 or 8 hours straight. That did not happen.
That's a shame. But better weather's ahead. Better weather's ahead.
Yes.
All right. What's this? George's in the comments too.
I'm all over the place.
Justin, I'm disappointed you didn't get my laboratory 2 numbers, number 1 and number 2 joke. That one flew over your head. But
honestly, I was trying to read through these notes here. My bad.
All right, let's start off. George, you're on the first bathroom board bet, man. It's you and Alex.
That's right.
All right. So Alex has Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have Tyler Lockett, 2022 fantasy finish PPR, and this was pre-Russell Wilson trade. So
correct.
At this point, that does count. How do you feel about this after the Russell Wilson trade?
I'm still going to win this bet. I'm lower on most people than on Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not a big Sun God fan, so I still think Lockett is going to win. I don't see Geno Smith chucking the ball all the way down the field to DK Metcalf very much. I think it'll be a lot of underneath stuff, and that's where Tyler Lockett tends to operate.
Ironically, I kind of feel like that's a similar situation for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think Jared Goff is going to be chucking in. I think it's going to be the underneath. I think it's going to be close.
I think it'll be close, but I think there's more competition for those targets in Detroit than there is really in Seattle.
Right. I could see that. Justin, you have any thoughts on this?
I'm a big fan of the Sun God, so I'm taking the non-George side here.
All right. And this next one, this was pre-NFL draft. This was Drake London being the first wide receiver. I think I was a little ahead of the curve. Mike D, Dirty Jobs, had Treylon Burks, and I said, no, it's Drake London. And this was fantasy points finished. This wasn't who was going to be the first wide receiver drafted, but to put my stamp on it, Drake London ended up surprising people and being the first wide receiver off the board. So, Treylon Burks, it's been a roller coaster tracking him, right? Like he came into the NFL. There were concerns, then he looks like he fits with the Titans, right? AJ Brown's gone. So now people are excited. And then he's got the asthma, and then he's making plays at camp. Like it's been very up and down. And Drake London, on the other hand, he's got Kyle Pitts next to him. He's got a large, so he's been pretty steady Eddie. I do think that Treylon Burks might have higher peaks, and valleys, but I think Drake London ultimately will just put together a better season. But one of you guys can argue for Treylon Burks.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue for Burks. We had we had on, who was our guest the other night for the Falcons show?
Aaron, I think it's Freeman. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
Aaron
exactly.
Freeman. Aaron Freeman from the Locked On Falcons podcast.
Yep.
And I had mentioned to him that I have a really strong feeling about Drake being like just a absolute target monster. And then not only did he agree with that, he also went on to say that there were 2 wide receivers for the Falcons that were going to get cut really soon. And the very next day they got cut. So he's kind of in tune with the team, I'd say. So yeah, I think after hearing him talk highly of Drake London as well, I think you won this by a landslide.
London reminds me of Mike Evans. Like, I think, he's in which he's in the same division as Mike Evans. He's going to get to watch him play, pretty often. And, man, and I think, Mariota's okay. He's not terrible, but Ritter the other night, he had some good snaps, man. He had some good ball placement. He was whipping that thing. So I'm excited. I think Ritter takes over about halfway through the season. Sean McDonald, my cousin Sean, what's up, Sean? He thinks Judy is the new Lockett. I could see that. Jerry Judy is phenomenal route runner. He's just got to stop dropping balls. And Steve Evans, Uncle Steve, Funkle Steve, when he's in Canton, that's what we call him. He's on the Amon-Ra St. Brown side. Go ahead.
You let me have it in a text message too. So
I
deserved it. We're good.
Who got it worse, you or Gavin?
Oh, Gavin had it way worse, man. I think that kid's still looking over his shoulder. I don't think he's worried Uncle Steve's going to make his way.
Jason set him up, man.
Yeah,
Jason set Gavin up. Yeah. And Jason's got to offer him his protection. Like, you ever see Napoleon Dynamite? What is what's the name of the dude? Pedro. Pedro offers you his protection.
If there's one thing you need to know about Jason, he ain't protecting you from anything. He can't protect himself from anything. Never mind protect somebody else.
He's too busy. He's too busy protecting the earth from aliens. All right? He's up there now. You stop talking. You listen. You stop talking bad about Jason. That dude flies rocket ships, scans the globe, and makes sure we're safe and sound. That's what he does at his business. All right.
Lord help us if Jason's in charge of all that. We're all gonna die.
Jason's out there in space, man. He's navigating up there. That's why he's not on the show tonight. All right, it's the Rocket Man. All right, then the next bathroom board. Who's his QB? The Bud Light guy. I'm not sure who's talking.
I think he was talking about Drake London.
Oh, okay. I think Mariota. I was buying him last, or maybe was it 2 years ago? His first year with the Raiders. I thought this shows you. All right, you could choose to turn this show off after you hear me say this because this make me sound dumb. I thought Mariota with the Raiders was going to have a leap like Ryan Tannehill had when he went to the Titans. And I thought it was going to be Mariota who surpassed Derek Carr. Never panned out. But, I like Mariota. I don't think he's great, but I'm interested to see what he can do. But also, Desmond Ridder, like I said, he looked good, man. He had some zip on his ball, some good ball placement. And the catch radius on that dude, Drake London, is phenomenal. He was a basketball player. He's got great body control. He's a phenomenal athlete. But also Treylon Burks is a dude. He's a dude. He's got great body control. I watched him play. Who was I watching? I think I was watching Alabama. And his film against Alabama last year, I was watching one of their 3 safeties. They got 3 safeties coming out in the 2023 NFL draft class who will all be taken in the top 3 rounds. 2 of them might go in the first round. So that just goes to show you. And Treylon Burks tore them up, bro. So I think he's good too. This next one, though, I'm going to have to give it up. I took DJ Chark. I don't know what I think. I was really hot. So Alex and Jason took Juju Smith-Schuster. I took DJ Chark, who will earn more in free agency. Oh, so this ain't even fantasy. So we can actually figure this out now.
Yeah, I'll look that up right now while you guys are talking.
Before I finished reading it, I thought this was points finish because I've come around on Juju. I think I was kind of bullish against him. Just kind of his antics with the Steelers. And I've said this before, I shouldn't let that get in the way of what I think of his fantasy production, because I do think the dude's going to score a lot of points. If he's your wide receiver 3, if you come out of a redraft draft with Juju as your wide receiver 3, you're in good shape, because I think he's going to score. DJ Chark, on the other hand, I don't know. But Justin, you got the numbers?
Yeah, so I know DJ's was 1 year for $10 million. I don't think that this one's right on Juju. I'm still – oh, here we go. He only has 2.49 guaranteed.
The coach wins.
Juju only has a contract of just over $1 million.
The coach wins.
Shark is $10 million for 1 year. They're both
Coach
1 year
wins.
contracts.
So
Dub. My first dub. I got the first dub of the bathroom board for 2022.
Justin, so according to Spotrac.com, Juju's contract is $2.89 million.
Well, yeah, it's still considerably less than 10 million. Yeah, I didn't figure in a signing bonus of 1.4, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
yeah.
All right, Alex, you're wrong. I win, you lose. All right, this next one's kind of funny.
Hey, don't undersell it. Jason is also wrong.
Jason, you're wrong, but I don't want to, man. Jason's my guy, man. He does enough. Jason's out there protecting us from aliens. Like let the man live. All right, football is at number one for him, man. He's got a lightsaber up there. He's Jedi training. All right, this next one's funny because whoever put this on the board does not understand how the board works.
No. It was an argument that was happening on air, and I put it on there mostly as a joke.
It is funny. It is. So read it.
I forgot about it.
Read it. Go ahead.
So, this bet, it's a one-sided bet. George, Rich, and Alex all believe that there is no way that Antonio Brown will ever become a part owner of any NFL team. And I think we have to leave this on the board until Juju is no longer alive because that's the only way we can track it.
No, Antonio Brown. Sorry,
Antonio Brown. And so once that finally happens, though, then we can count it as a win for George, Rich, and Alex in, hopefully, 40, 50, 60 years from now.
Yeah. I'm willing to modify that board bet to Antonio Brown will not be on a team ever again.
We still
be a second one. That'll be a second one. All right, let's move on. Kenny Pickett. We'll stay with current Steeler now instead of a former Steeler. Kenny Pickett starts weeks. So there was probably a month where the Steelers and the Bills were huge talking points within the Toilets to Titles chat. I'm not going to name drop, but it was a lot of Steelers, a lot of Bills, and that led to some that led to some Kenny Pickett discussion. And Alex says that Kenny Pickett will start week 1, and Ben and Nate say he will not. He's looked good. I currently still think that Tomlin goes with a veteran just to give a veteran a chance, but I do think Pickett's going to start a lot sooner than I expected.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
All right, this next one, we got Nino. I'm surprised you're not on this, Justin.
I know. They must have put this on here during one of their episodes because had I saw this, I certainly would have taken Nino's side. But per our rules, if it doesn't happen at that time or get put on the board at that time, I can't jump in as much as I would love to.
That's the Joe Clark rule.
So I was reading ahead on some of those board bets, and there's some of them I'd love to get in on.
Yeah, well, we put the Joe Clark. We put the Joe Clark rule back. Yeah, Joe last year went through the bathroom board and just, I think he put his name on every single bet one way or another. He didn't know any better. All right,
leave it to Joe to ruin a good thing.
Joe knows.
Joe knows how to screw something up.
Yeah. All right. So this next one, we got. What is Uncle Steve saying here? Pickett should start week 1.
You should.
But I agree. I think Tomlin. I think he's going to give a veteran a chance to prove him, because even if a veteran isn't looking great in practice, some guys are gamers. I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky is, but he's going to give him a chance. He's going to give him a chance. All right. So Justin, you're going to have a chance, even though you're not on this bet, to argue for it. Nino has TJ Hawkinson. Jared has Darren Waller. Finishes higher ranked tight end end of year. So I'm thinking higher ranked. Does that mean they're scoring more points, I'm assuming, or does that mean that going into the next season, they're going to be drafted higher? What does that mean?
I'm just going to type in here PPR points for the season because we need something to clarify that. But so here's my argument on this is like, I think it's going to be pretty darn close. And like you have Darren Waller is going to really get a lot of help with Adams out there now. But I think Hawkinson is going to have a huge comeback season. We've already talked about, or at least I have several times on several shows, Ragnow comes back this season and he goes back to being the Hawkinson of old, where he can actually go out on routes. So for fantasy purposes, I think Hawk goes way back up there again. I think it's going to be close. Where you're really getting the value, though, is in the drafts, these redrafts, where you can get Hawk a few rounds later than Waller, and still get what I think is going to be a pretty close value fantasy points wise by the end of the season with both of them.
All right. Darren Waller, man, he's like a freak. He got peppered last year. He got a lot of targets, but like you said, he's going to have help from Adams. I don't think Adams, Waller, or Renfro are necessarily going to have neither one of them. And obviously Renfro isn't going to finish wide receiver 1. Watch it. If that does happen, imagine you got to take this clip and play it at the end of the season, but that's, not going to happen. I don't think Waller is going to finish tight end 1. I don't think Adams is going to finish wide receiver 1. I think they're both going to be more close now. Waller will probably be to the 4 to 7 range. Adams probably going to be, I think, like the 7 to 12 range, and which is phenomenal. But given their ADP, it's not worth what they're going for. And I think Hawkinson's probably going to fall between the 4 to 7 range as well. So I think this is very close, but the value is there. And I know we're not talking value. We're talking who's going to be the better player, but it's redraft season. The value, like you said, is there with Hawkinson, but I think this will be close. I do. All right, so the next bet. Alex says Aaron Rodgers will be a top 10 quarterback this year in fantasy football. And Rich says he will not. George, you're shaking your head. Go ahead. Oh.
You got the mute on?
Yeah, I don't think Rodgers is going to be a top 10 quarterback this year.
I think he's still going to be great. You're in there now. I still think Rodgers is going to be great. Justin's Uncle Steve is now at Justin's house, and he's trying to break through the wall that the mock draft is on, because that draft is shaking.
Oh no, I'm looking at I'm trying to look at the board to see where Rodgers was drafted.
You ever play that game Rampage on like Sega or Super Nintendo? It's like you have like either a dragon or like a gorilla, and you're trying to like smash buildings down. I feel like that's kind of
one where they break down the buildings.
Yeah, they break down. So that's what Uncle Steve's coming to Justin's house to do.
Yeah, I thought Rodgers was drafted a little high in my home league draft here. He was taken 6th as far as quarterbacks go by Kenny Bowe, who's been on the show a few times.
Yeah, I know Kenny Bowe. Kenny and the kids, man. He's always with the kids. Love Kenny.
Right.
That's it. All right, so Justin, you think Rodgers will finish top 10 or no?
Again, I think that's the over under for me. But if I had to make a bet and I had to choose one or the other, then I would have to say, yeah, you got to go with the guy that continually gets the MVPs and still plays well even when Adams wasn't out there. He's just going to find the open guy and throw it to him. Rich
and Alex secretly have a rivalry this summer because Alex is pissed that Rich gets to enjoy Davante Adams, and Alex is going to act like he doesn't care Davante Adams is gone, because that's his thing, not caring. But Rich is his thing is caring a lot, and he loves the Raiders. And they really just should have ultimately turned this into who's going to be the better quarterback this year, Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. That's what it should have been. Just finish it. Finish the fight. Finish him. So they didn't do that. The next one, though, we do have 2 quarterbacks going against each other. Nino has Mac Jones. I have Trevor Lawrence. Fantasy points finish. Justin, we kind of talked about this before the show, and you had stated that, Mac Jones looked like the better quarterback, right? And it seems like the NFL respects him because he was ranked in the top 100. My point is, Trevor Lawrence is going to be, statistically speaking, and what they're going to ask him to do in Jacksonville with Doug Peterson, he's going to be throwing a lot more. And he's just on a weekly basis. I could see Mac Jones having like somewhere between 15 to 20 points a week. And I see Trevor Lawrence being somewhere between 20 and 25 points a week. So there's going to be weeks he outscores him by 10 points. And that's just because how Bill Belichick is going to game plan, or Matt Patricia, who's supposedly going to be the offensive coordinator. I think they're all just going to be working together. But how they're going to game plan it, I don't think Mac Jones is going to be as active. And I do wish George was here because George loves him some Mac Jones. So when he does, I'll give him a chance. But you go ahead if you want to argue for Mac Jones. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I don't really want to argue for Mac Jones because after we talked about it a little bit more, I started to realize how high I am on Travis Etienne. It's kind of difficult because part of the reason I'm big on Etienne is that passing game. I think he's going to get a lot of time in the slot, third down back opportunities. He's a shifty back, and I do think he makes a bounce back from his injury this year. So if I'm going to be that big on him, I got to give a little bit of a bump to Trevor Lawrence, and that little bit of a bump is probably all it's going to take really to beat out Mac Jones, because it's not like I was huge on Mac Jones because of his weapons, but
Right.
I do think it's going to be pretty close. For the records, Uncle Steve here is absolutely right. As big as I was on TJ Hawkinson, my brother-in-law Pat, who acts like he does no research, obviously listens to the show because he took him the very pick right before I was supposed to go. But shortly after the draft, like 24 hours later, I traded Melvin Gordon for Dallas Goedert.
All right.
In like 3 picks before my Melvin Gordon pick, so I just swapped them. So
Pat's sneaky, man.
Yeah,
you're welcome, Justin. You're welcome.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I had 2 trades out there. I was actually kind of bragging about the trade offers I had there, and George was liking them, and luckily that one was actually accepted.
All right, let's. I'm gonna bundle up these next 2 because these are Mac Jones. So this must have been Mac Jones' season. These last few ones on there. So the next one was Zach Wilson. I had Zach Wilson. Well, Mac Jones isn't involved in this one. I apologize. George had Tua. Zach Wilson's a little banged up, so we're gonna see how this one goes. But I'm gonna give George a chance to talk on the next one. Tua versus Mac Jones. So George and Matt ultimately did. They had, they said it with their chest. Where Alex and Rich kind of beat around the bush. These 2 put their quarterbacks on the board straight up. Tua versus Mac Jones. So go ahead, George.
I mean, what is there to say? Like, who is Mac Jones throwing the ball to? The Miami Dolphins wide receiver 5 that we
know how you should have just finished it? Like, what would have been a boss move if you said, who is he throwing it to? The Miami Dolphins, and just left it like that.
I mean, that will happen. I mean, have you watched Mac Jones play? He's not particularly good. So
I like it. All right. So he said it with his chest. So Matt, it's 8 a.m. in Australia, so he didn't have the chance to come on the show, but we'll get his opinions later on. But you heard my thoughts on Mac Jones. I kind of agree. I just don't think he's going to be asked to do as much. And Tua's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and I have both of those guys. I got Tyreek Hill top 15. I got Jalen Waddle top 5 in my wide receiver rankings. And in order to get there, in order to score points, there's going to have to be somebody distributing the ball. It's going to be Tua, man. All right, this next one, Deandre Swift was probably, there was a month or 2 where he was the sweetheart running back of the Toilets to Titles chat. I don't know if Justin or George were involved in the love party that was going on with Deandre Swift, but there were a lot of guys who were. Dirty Jobs was in on it. Nino was in on it. They both said he's going to finish as a top 4 PPR fantasy running back this season. I said no. I think the guy's good. I think he'll finish top 8. I do not think he's going to finish top 4. I think Barkley's going to have a top 5 season. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to have a top 5 season. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have a top 5 season. Derrick Henry. I think Nick Chubb. I got Nick Chubb over DeAndre Swift, and I know he doesn't catch the ball, and I know he's got Kareem Hunt, but Nick Chubb is a dog, and I don't think his best football is behind him. I think it's in front of him, so I just don't think he cracks the top 5, and they gave me top 4, so I think that's a win for me. But if either you want to argue for Swift, go ahead.
No, not exactly. I definitely love his the possibility of his opportunities there, but he's just not the type of back that I think is going to be an elite level back to do that sort of damage with that opportunity. So I think there's a lot of running backs in the league. So it's either 4 or not, like 4 or the field, and that's a pretty large field. So I think it's a safe bet for you.
I like this next one. Nate piggybacked on that bet. It's DeAndre Swift, Nino versus Aaron Jones, Nate. And I even think, I didn't even mention Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones outscores DeAndre Swift as well.
Yeah, that one I think is going to be close. I like DeAndre Swift. I'm not sure I want to go top 4. He's got the potential to do it. He's got the ability to do it. He's going to have the opportunity to do it. I just don't know if he can actually break the top 4. I would have gone on the side with coach there says he wouldn't. And listen, I like DeAndre Swift. I think I would prefer Aaron Jones over him. I think Aaron Jones is going to just absolutely eat in Green Bay this year.
My Dirty Jobs is doubling up. He just went all in. He said by top 4, he means numero uno.
We're talking about speaking from our chest. He is typing with his thumbs.
Yeah, we need it. He must be busy, man. We need to get him in here. We need to see what he's drinking right now.
Yeah. So as far as Aaron Jones, my only concern is the love in Green Bay for A.J. Dillon. I think that split is going to be pretty close to 50-50, and that's going to be tough for Nate to win that bet.
All right, Will Levis. So this next one's college football based. We got Will Levis out of Kentucky. Nino's on there. Spencer Rattler, who's a Gamecock now. Jared has him. Highest quarterback finish in 2022. I know Nino loves Will Levis. I didn't know Jared is such a Spencer Rattler's fan, but he's Oklahoma guy. He was an Oklahoma guy, so I could see Jared having some love there. So this one will be interesting. And it'll be very fun to track, especially for you fans of P2P from the pots to the playoffs. This next one has Nino involved as well. Nino had Romeo Dubs. I recently realized that that's how you pronounce his name. It's not Dobbs, it's Dubs. So there you go. And I had Christian Watson. I liked Christian Watson coming out North Dakota State, and Nino gave me some heat, because of where he went to school and kind of just his route tree and stuff like that. But it's looking like Dubs is the guy. And I don't think that's a knock on Watson. I think that's more so praise for Dubs. Watson's been a little banged up. But Rodgers has been saying that this cat, so last week on the Sunday Roundtable, we said that Rodgers was talking back some of his praise on his rookie wide receivers. And then this week, Rodgers is saying that Dubs is going to be treated differently than all the rookies in the past because he's doing stuff on a regular basis at practice that you can't teach. Sounds like Rodgers really likes this kid. And I was able to get him late in Scott Fishbowl, and I am feeling pretty good about it. I think he's going to be a steal. So I'm going Nino here. Do either of you want to bet with Watson, or you agree?
I honestly don't know enough about the situation up there to be able to say too much about it. I mean, going into draft season, like the NFL draft season, I would have said Christian Watson all day. But now that I know that you pronounce his last name like you're getting the Dubs instead of the L's, I kind of like it.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's all it takes for you. All right. The next one is Darren Waller. Rich, of course, it's a Raider. Any Raider bet, Rich is on it. Versus George Kittle, and that's Nino. More fantasy points. I think it's Waller. I don't think Kittle. I think Kittle's the type of guy who plays 12 to 14 games a season. He just plays the game too damn physical. He's going to have huge weeks, but I think Waller's going to be more consistent. What do you think?
I have 0 shares of Kittle, nor will I in redraft leagues this year because of the ADP with him and his injury history. It's not worth the risk. So, but I do have several Wallers.
Man, Mike Dirty Jobs says he's drinking Sunkiss, so he's not drinking an alcoholic beverage, but it would be more on brand. Get on the cell phone, all right? Call up your boy Jason and get yourself some Tang, all right? Because that's what they drink in space, all right? Get off this sun-kissed garbage. And then while you're at it, get some Dippin' Dots, because that's the ice cream that they eat in space as well. All right, we're moving on to the next one here. I like this one a lot. Nino's got Hollywood Brown. I got Hunter Renfrow, and Rich hopped on this one. He's got Hunter Renfrow, 2022 fantasy points finish. I even said the other night with that dude, Coach A, I think Zach Ertz, at least the first 6 weeks of the season, has more receptions than Hollywood Brown. So, I think Renfrow is so underrated. Like the dude, he'll probably have around 80 receptions, which I think Hollywood Brown finishes probably between 65 and 75. So I think Renfrow outdoes him. He's probably between 80 and 85. And I just think he's more consistent. Hollywood Brown is like a boom bust play. Renfrow is like a check down, get open, good hands. He's going to be where you need him to be. Are either of you higher on Hollywood Brown?
No, I completely agree with you with the whole narrative of Ertz being probably the most involved weapon on that offense while DeAndre Hopkins is out. And then when he comes back, like it's going to go back to business with Nook taking most of the targets and the receptions. I would have went with Renfrow on this one as well.
And I think that your point that Renfrow is underrated, he's just about as underrated as Hollywood Brown is overrated.
Ooh, zing. It's a good thing Nino wasn't here, because Nino would, if anybody's going to defend himself, it's going to be that man. Nino will talk with his chest, and I respect that man for it. All right, speaking of talking with your chest, I must have been on one this day because I have about 5 bets in a row. All right, I was calling everybody could get it this day. This was one of those days when the SAS squad was probably out in full effect. So this first one was Joe Mixon. Nino and Jared have him. I got Nick Chubb. Fantasy points finish. You know how I feel about Nick Chubb. We talked about Joe Mixon the other day. He's going to get volume. He's consistent. But I just think Nick Chubb, everything Joe Mixon does, I think Nick Chubb does better. Oh, there he is. Speaking of the devil, there's Nino. Hollywood, baby. I know you love him. All right, so I got Nick Chubb over Joe Mixon. We're going to move on to this next one, though, which I think is a little more juicy. 2 Miami Dolphins players, so we know George is going to love it. I got Jalen Waddle. Joe knows his Tyreek Hill. 2022 fantasy points finish. I think it's the young Bucks' turn, man. I think the torch is going to be passed. I think you're shaking your head. No, it's going to happen.
They're not paying Tyreek Hill $30 million a year to come in and play second fiddle to Jalen Waddle. I love Jalen Waddle.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you pay him. You can try to make something happen. I just think Jalen Waddle and Tua, they have the connection already. I think Jalen Waddle is every bit as good, if not better, at wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's looked great. They're both going to do very well. I think Jalen Waddle's a better player.
Now, give it in 3 years, I will absolutely agree that – actually, we'll go 2 years. In 2 years, I will agree Jalen Waddle is the better player. He's not better than Tyreek Hill right now. He will not be better than Tyreek Hill next year either.
When he does show out, because it's going to be good for you anyway, because Tyreek Hill is going to ball out. If Jalen Waddle does, go ahead.
This is a board bet I can't lose. Like, am I going to be upset Jalen Waddle is better than Tyreek Hill? Absolutely not. Am I going to be upset when Tyreek Hill is better than Jalen Waddle? Absolutely not.
But are you going to be upset if Coach
top 10 seasons? That would be absolutely phenomenal.
But are you going to be upset if Coach wins yet another board bet?
No. Not this.
That's my guy. All right.
You didn't get in on this one. That's the only reason why.
Dude, this next one, just hand me the W on this one already. Nick Chubb. I have Nick Chubb. Chuck as Leonard Fournette. 2022 fantasy points finish. I think Leonard Fournette, he had a good season last year. You look at his track record, it's not great. He's a plotter. And I think the Bucs are going to have some trouble this year. And good thing Jason's up in space right now, because if he was down on earth, he'd be pretty pissed off because he's a big Bucs fan. But I think Leonard Fournette is going to tap out when things get tough, and he's going to have probably 700, 800 yards. I don't think he's going to put up the season he did last year, because everything's not going to be easy peasy out there in Tampa. And I think Nick Chubb, even if Leonard Fournette played his best for 16, 17 games, I still think Nick Chubb is just night and day. Night and day. They shouldn't even be in the same sentence.
I think this was Chuck's first board bet, and he was new to the show, new to the team, and I think he was just trying to figure it out. I don't think he really understood.
He doubled up. The next one, I took David Montgomery.
I was trying to segue into that.
I think Coach took advantage of the noob. That first one.
Yeah, but then I went back. I was even willing. I told him, I said, Chuck, I am so against. I'll even put David Montgomery over Leonard Fournette.
I would have took Leonard Fournette on this one, though. That's the problem.
I don't think it's as far as you think apart, but also I was making a point.
I had to eat crow on the David Montgomery bet. Yeah. I probably won't bet against him for a while.
I was emphasizing how strongly I felt that Leonard Fournette, is far away from Nick Chubb. Like I think he belongs in the same sentence as David Montgomery. And I like David Montgomery, but I don't think he belongs in the same sentence as Nick Chubb.
So I can't wait till we get down 3 more. That one's going to be fun.
All right. Well, the next one is Damion Pierce. I had him. Nino has Marlon Mack. So far, it's looking like Damion Pierce is going to be that guy. And Nino was kind of talking about Florida backs. And I think it's looking like coaching was the reason why Damion Pierce didn't do that much at Florida, because Florida has another running back. I think his name is Malik Davis, who Dallas brought in as a top 30 visit. And this dude was on nobody's radar. You go look at Damion Pierce's stats and then go look at Malik Davis. He did barely anything. He split touches with Damion Pierce. Dude, Dallas loves him. So whoever's coaching at Florida don't know running backs, because he had 2 guys who are NFL ball players. Like Malik Davis, Rico Dowdle going into camp was the RB3, like it's stamped. Malik Davis undrafted, 30 visit. Like Dallas was on to him. He's going to make the team over Dowdle. So it seems like the Gators had some good backs. They just didn't know how to use them. This next one, Jared thinks DJ Moore will be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver this year. George doesn't. So go ahead, George.
Top 10 is too rich for my blood with DJ Moore. Top 15, yeah, I can see it. I think Jared's got his Baker Mayfield glasses on, thinking that DJ Moore is going to be able to get in that top 10, and he's not going to be able to. I'm sorry.
All right, this next one is going to be juicy. It's Jalen Waddle, me and George, versus Michael Pittman. Justin, 2022 fantasy points finish. So Justin, you already heard the Jalen Waddle discussion, so let's hear some Michael Pittman discussion.
I mean, it's the number one wide receiver that, as far as so many of the stats when it comes to being able to break open, that separation, just finding the open hole, catch rate for balls that were actually in his catch radius. Michael Pittman scored well and like near the top in just about every single category when it came to that. He just didn't have a guy that could actually get him the ball. Now he does, so he's going to take a huge jump as the number one wide receiver for a team that's going to be very efficient in the passing game. While you guys are trying to figure out who the hell the number one even is, they're in Miami and they're distributing the ball all over the field. And I think it's going to be great for Miami. Don't get me wrong. As a team, I think that is going to be great. But that ball distribution, like I just don't know. Like it's going to be all over the place. So I like my opportunity here with Michael Pittman. And of course, you keep talking about speaking from the chest. I couldn't let you guys talk bad about my boy.
I like him. I like those USC wide receivers, man. Michael Pittman, Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like even Juju this year. Like USC, they got some guys in the league who can play, and I think are going to be putting up some points in fantasy this season. So this next one, Justin has Cortland Sutton not finishing as a top 30 wide receiver in PPR. Me, George, and Nino have him finishing. So this is wide receiver 3 territory. Right. So between 25 and 36, I think Cortland Sutton, like everything I said about Drake London, I feel Cortland Sutton is very similar player to Mike Evans. Good body control. He's not as big, but he's a big dude, and he's the alpha there. Jerry Jeudy was a better route runner, probably a more highly recruited prospect coming out of high school. But right now in the NFL, skins on the wall, Cortland Sutton is going to be the guy they rely on. Jerry Jeudy has to prove himself to Russell Wilson. I think as long as he stays healthy, I think his floor is wide receiver 25. So that's not too far off from 30, but I still think that's right outside of wide receiver 2 territory. I think that's his floor. But go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, no, I just think, and this was post Russell trade too. Like we knew that Russell was going to be the quarterback there, and I just don't see it. Like I've never been huge on the guy. I've never seen that ability. We didn't see crazy good athleticism from him before Russell was there, and now that Russell's there, like I just don't think that it changes a whole lot. And I mean, I get that a lot of people say they did see it. A lot of people talk highly of him. I don't know why. I've never been a big fan of the guy, and if I have 3 different guys trying to make a huge case for the guy, I mean, I'm going to be a contrarian from time to
time. Justin, you said you haven't seen it. Did you not see him play in 2019? He had over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like he has a top, what was he that year? Top 15 finish on his resume already. Like he's broken out. He's absolutely done it before. And that was with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. I think it was Bridgewater in 2019.
I get it. And then he had the ACL injury, and then he had a not so great season last year.
Well, who was
and he's probably going to be fully healthy now. I mean, I get it. I just don't see it. Like,
so I've been high on Sutton since he was coming out of SMU, just because when he came out was when we were moving on from Dez. So I have a type. when I watch wide receivers, if you've listened to my scouting, I have a type. I like big physical wide receivers who go after the ball, make spectacular catches, play with an edge, tough, like rebounding type guys. And he's all of that. So I thought especially SMU was in Dallas. So I was hoping we'd end up with him. So I've always been, but also the NFL, doesn't really love that type anymore. So he's different than the base type because he can separate. A lot of those guys who are just big, go up and get it guys, like Kelvin Harmon coming out of NC State. I loved him as much as I loved Cortland Sutton. And he's not even in the NFL because the dude can't separate. So what makes Sutton special is he can do all that physical stuff, but he can run routes and get open. So, Russell Wilson, well, it's a few weeks away, man. We are going to find out. So these next one, some Tom Brady ones here. So Matt must have woke up, and it's Tom Brady versus Derek Carr. Surprised that Rich was busy. He was probably in Vegas for this one. So Nino has Carr, Matt has Tom Brady. I'm going to kind of bundle these together. And the next one, Matt has Tom Brady finishing top 10 quarterback. Justin has him not finishing top 10. So Justin, do you have Carr finishing top 10? And
yes.
What do you? So you agree Carr is going to finish over Brady? I agree as well. And where do you see Tom Brady finishing this season? If you had to guess,
On a stretcher. No,
boy.
that's wrong. But I don't. I really don't like cheaters. But but no, he's definitely going to finish outside the top 12 this year. He doesn't have his security blanket in Gronk. He does have plenty of weapons. Don't get me wrong. And Bray is no slouch. But I think that the quarterback level play overall in the NFL just keeps getting better and better and better, and we keep seeing it every season. And I mean, Tom Brady, he still had it last year. And I think 2 years ago was the first year I actually finally said, this is the year that Tom Brady loses it. Like he finally is going to slip. And he proved me wrong the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was off on him too.
I'm going to keep fighting that battle though. I mean, eventually, right? Like eventually, come on, just retire.
All right, we're running a little late here. We got head-to-head, our IDP show up next. So I do want to wrap this thing up, but not immediately. We got a few more I want to run through. There's some Baker Mayfield love, and it wasn't all Jared. Jared has him top 18. Justin says no. Nate one-upped him and said he's going to finish top 15. Justin says no. I don't think we need to talk too much on this. We're going to see this one play out. I could see him being top 18. I don't necessarily see him be top 15. I think 15 is about his ceiling. This next one, so the guys, George and Jared, said that OBJ will not play prior to January 1st. I said he will. So what is that week in week terms? So September. That's about week 14-ish. I think he's out there by week 14. I still think so. I think he's going to be on a roster by then. I think he'll play the final 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and maybe he doesn't play more than 5 snaps, but I think he'll be on a roster, and I think it's going to be Green Bay. So we'll see that one play out. This Taysom Hill one was a huge talking point. Huge. This one drove Nino bonkers with this one. Taysom Hill finishes the top 15 score in tight ends, PPR. Justin said yes. Jared says no. I thought Nino was on this one, but I guess he's not. Or he might have deleted his name because they just had on, I forget, what was the lady from the Saints, George, that was on the other day?
That is an excellent question. You would come to me with that.
Sorry. I'll look it up. But she did mention that he's looked good at tight end. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
He has looked good. I'll find out.
Good. He's a stud athlete.
He can do it all. Literally, he can do it all.
He's a physical specimen. He runs dudes over. And she was just saying that she sees it kind of, he's going to get it done. And Nino likes Troutman, which, I also like. Her name was, dang it doesn't even say in the title. Maddie Hawk, at Maddie Hawk 94, Hauk. So she's a Saints insider. And Nino, I saw his world kind of crumbled a little bit when she talked about.
It's actually pronounced, because she corrected me, it's Maddie Hudak. Like
Hudak.
Hudak.
Oh, right. Okay. So that kind of fits with the Saints. All right, this next one, we got 2 DJ Moore ones as well. And DJ Moore will score 9 TDs. Alex says less than 9. Nino says more. And Steve was in the chat, actually. So his argument is DJ Moore has never had more than 4 touchdowns. So This one will be interesting to see. The next one, DJ Moore will finish top 12. Justin says yes. Alex says no. I think it's more likely that DJ Moore finishes top 12 than it is that he scores 9 TDs.
If he scores 9 TDs, he's going to be in the top 5.
I think
Wow.
I think he does both. He scores more than 9 touchdowns and he finishes in the top 12.
All right, the next one. Chuck has the Cowboys having a top 5 offense. Nino says no. I don't think they'll be top 5. As long as they're top 10, 8 to 12, I think we'll be okay because I do think the defense is going to be a top 5 defense this year. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more, but I appreciate Chuck's optimism. I hope who's down there?
That's the Cowboys defense. Because defenses score kind of high, and Baltimore and Dallas has a nice rotating schedule between the two of them. I went ahead and drafted them both late since it's a deep league.
All right, I got some more Jalen Waddle love on here. Jalen Waddle will finish overall higher in fantasy than Mike Williams. I say yes. Alex says no. Do either of you think Mike Williams will outscore Jalen Waddle?
That's kind of the line, but I'm gonna have to say no. On this side, would no.
I did Mike Williams's projections for our little projections project that I think is going to go up on the site soon, and I have him balling out. I have him having a lot of yards. So I don't think he's going to outscore Waddle, but I have him like as a top 10 wide receiver this year with my projections. My projections took me there. I didn't walk them. They walked me. All right. Taysom Hill scores a touchdown in the first 3 weeks. This is a funny one. And scores 6 total touchdowns by the end of the season. Justin says yes. Alex says no.
That was my tricky little wording there that I came up with. And that was mostly just to continue to piss Nino off. But Alex is the one that jumped in there, and so he accepted my bet. So here we go.
All right, and then Juju will finish top 16 wide receivers PPR. Me and Jared say yes. Justin says no. I mean, I could see. I'm not super confident he will finish top 16. I think he finishes top 24. But I was drinking the Kool-Aid, and the hype was there, and he does have Patrick Mahomes. And I do have him as the wide receiver 3 a lot. So I would love that. But I don't necessarily know if it's going to happen.
I think this one's a great bet because it's right there. It's right in that line. So this one will be interesting.
All right. The next one, I got Dalton Schultz outscoring both Kittle and Hawkinson. I said yes. Justin says no. I think he outscores Kittle for sure.
The way I read that is I get to add Kittle and Hawkinson together.
Yeah. With Tolbert not looking great right now. But you know who has looked very good? Ferguson. Dude, Jake Ferguson, they're saying he looks like he gained 10 to 15 pounds just over the last few months in the Cowboys training program.
That's nothing. I did that over Canton.
Dude, yes. But he's mauling people.
Days.
We're gonna I gained a lot of weight too. They're gonna run a lot of 2 tight end sets until Michael Gallup comes back. All right, the next one, George Pickens will be the leading wide receiver for the Steelers. Jared says yes. Justin and George say no. I still think it's Deontay Johnson, but I do think George Pickens. I don't think he's going to be that far off. I have him. I put money on him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That wouldn't surprise me. I just don't think he's going to be the target receptions leader, yards leader, or touchdown leader.
All right, this bathroom board just needs to be titled Sheps's love for Waddle, because these next two, I'm finishing how I started. I got Waddle being a top 10 wide receiver. I've even said he's going to be top 5, but I have him being a top 10 in this bet. Me and Rich say yes. Justin and George say no. The next one, this one was me like standing on a mountaintop and screaming from my chest. I said Waddle will have 25 more receptions than Tyreek. Coach, me and Jason backed me up. Jason was on board up in space, so he must have heard me screaming from the mountaintop, and it echoed in space.
I think it was more of a lack of oxygen going to the brain at that point, and that's why he agreed with you.
That's possible. But I can't. I was this hot. I mean, the Monty season, man. This is shades of the Monty season. I was all over it, and it happened. And we're gonna see. All right. We only have 3 left. I'm sorry, Jared. The most points: Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. George is Harris. Justin, Jared, and Jason have Stevenson. What are you guys' thoughts?
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not close. They're drinking that Ramondre Stevenson Kool-Aid from him going up against the 3rd and 4th string players.
What, you mean last season when he looked like a monster when he was healthy?
When
those other teams were playing their 3rd and 4th string defenses? Come on, man.
All right, hey, you guys can keep battling. Who's going to win the AFC South? The Colts or the Titans? Justin has the Colts. George has the Titans.
Yeah, screw you, George.
I just don't believe in Matt Ryan at this point.
All right, hey, we're going to wrap it up with that. Oh no, we have one more. Irv Smith is a top 12 tight end. Justin says yes. George, Rich, and Joe say no. Any thoughts on Irv Smith before we wrap this thing up?
No.
He's not going to
It
finish
is what
top.
it is.
It's a tight end. All
But-
right, it's a tight end. We're not going to say it with our chest.
We actually do still have one more left, and it's a good one, so we still have to mention it.
You mention it.
All right, Brissett's win percentage will be better than Watson's if they both play or if they both start at least one game. And now it looks like Watson will get the last few games of the season, and Brissett gets the first 11. So we will be able to get a definite win percentage on this one. That's pretty even to the same amount of games between the two, or at least somewhat even. So
Math. All right.
I
You
think
want to read off? Go ahead, George. I'm sorry.
bold. I think you could have been more bold on this one and gone with Watson will win more games playing fewer games than Jacoby Brissett will playing more games.
no, because I don't think so. I think Brissett.
He's talking to me.
Oh,
He's
gotcha.
talking to the other side.
Yeah,
All
well,
right,
I'm the one who
Justin.
came up with the bet. So
All right, we have a number of bets. I was on there 21 times, Justin 17, Nino 14, George 12, Jared 10, Alex 8, and then the rest of the guys, they barely got on there. So next year we're gonna have a limit. We got to be no less than this if you even want to be on the bathroom board. You got to come correct, or don't come at all. All right, so the bathroom board is wrapped up. Stay tuned for the next show, head to head, where we're talking IDP. We got Jared Gray. I think Nito's on there. Russ is going to be on there. Saturday night, we're doing a mock draft extravaganza, year 3. Bob Harris is coming on. We're going to have Shane Hallam, a bunch of Toilets Titles members. Monday night, mock draft lavatory. Friday night, we got P2P from the pots to the playoffs. Wednesday night, we got Dollars to Deuces talking gambling. Tuesday night, we're going to have Dane Brugler on for about a half hour talking 2023 draft prospects. Hopefully, we get the Senior Bowl. We get him on here. And, man, I think it's going to be a great week. So you're going to want to stay tuned. It's Jim Nagy. I had a brain fart. I'm sorry. Jim Nagy of the Senior Bowl is going to be coming on hopefully sometime next week. But stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff going on. And then after this, it's all going to lead you right into the season, where if you want to know what we're doing in season, check out our Twitter handle at Toilets to Titles. We have a pinned tweet with the show schedule. All the chaos settles down. We get in a rhythm, right? And we take you day by day through the process of setting your lineups, making your bets, getting your DFS plays, all that good stuff. All right. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, 5-star review. We will catch you all later on.